Thank you so much for joining us today. And I look forward to this interview.
Me too. Thank you.
So, number one for my first question, what were your fears or challenges going into your first couple years of teaching French immersion, and how did you overcome those?
So honestly, it was everything. Like going into teachers college and stuff. Like I've always known I wanted to be a teacher. Like I was in high school, I was in elementary school. I was like, I want to be a teacher.
Yeah.
But then when it actually like it was always like future me problems. So going through university and then going into teachers college, I was still like future me problem. And then it came, obviously, they like time passes, it comes, and I was terrified. Like I was terrified to supply teach, let alone like have my own classroom. Like I didn't feel like teachers college prepared me for anything. And especially back then it was a 1 year program. So like I think in total it was maybe max of 2 months that we spent in the classroom, like total. So it was, yeah, it was scary. But what really helped me was I actually got thrown into my job. So I've worked for two different school boards, and the one that I worked for first was the school board that I grew up in. And the guy who interviewed me was like the head of the department for French. And I was like looking at his name and I'm like, I know him. I know that name. And so I texted one of my friends and they're like, yeah, he was our principal when we were in like grade 6. And I was like, oh, okay. But he remembered me because he like the first thing he said to me was, you went to so and so school. Yes. And you had a brother. Yes. Okay. What was his name? And I was like, oh my God. So he remembered me. So, anyways, obviously the interview went really well and they hired me. And then fast forward to the end of summer, and all of a sudden I'm getting calls from schools. And like I fully was like, okay, I'm gonna like supply teach. Maybe I'll do 1 day in September because like no one needs supply teachers in September. And all of a sudden I'm getting calls from schools being like, hey, like so and so told us about you and we want to hire you. Please apply to our jobs. And I'm like, what? Like, what do you mean? So he was throwing my name out there to all the schools that had unfilled positions. And so they were all starting to call me and they all thought I was this amazing teacher. But literally, the only connection was that I was at his school when I was little. So I was not prepared. I started the second week of school. I had nothing. I came in with my lunchbox. That was it. And like the teacher who was in before me, the week before me, worked at the school. And so she set up the whole room and everything before I got there. Like, thank God, because I didn't even know I needed to buy that kind of stuff. Like I had nothing. I came in with just my lunch bag. And yeah, so I would say being thrown in is really what made the difference for me because I had no choice. I had to just do it. I was working this job. Like,
Yeah. You just had to adapt on the go and figure it out.
exactly. It wasn't like, okay, well, maybe I'll work this 1 day or maybe I'll accept this job. It was no, you got to be at school on Tuesday, like, and you're working, and that's it.
Okay, fair enough. I know, especially with the way things are right now, a lot of us are going to be thrown right into positions coming out this year. So great advice. Just take it and go.
Exactly. And you know what? It went terribly, and that's okay. I'm still here. Like it was fun.
Awesome. Fantastic. My second question for you is, what is your personal strategy for a successful year of teaching French immersion?
So, assuming you know like ahead of time that you're going to be working, I would say do a little bit of planning every day. So that you're not stuck in that last week before school starts being like, oh my God, I have to set up my classroom. I have to plan my activities. I have to figure out parent communication. I have to buy things. I have to make things like do a little bit. And I'm not saying to, on July 1st to like set up your whole classroom, but like, maybe take 1 day in the summer and you think about your schedule. You look at the allocation minutes for your school board and you plan out your schedule. And then maybe another day you think about parent communication. Cause like it doesn't have to be overwhelming. And I've been there. It has been overwhelming for me. And so what I actually did is I wound up making a back to school guide. It's in my TPT store. And I went through and I was like, okay, these are like, here's my list of what I do. And then here's an editable part that you can add what you do. And here's things you need to make and things you need to buy. And okay, on day 1, you go into your classroom, these are the things you're going to do. And then on day 2, do these things. And just having it broken down like that and having everything in one place, including that parent communication, is really helpful, because then you're not like scrambling, because you start over every year. I felt like this every year until I made this guide.
Amazing.
So
Okay.
that's what I would say. Plan a little bit and keep it in one spot.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. My third question for you is, can you share three concrete tips that would help with reducing stress and overwhelm for teachers who are planning their year?
Well, like I just said, so make lists. Start off by like having kind of an idea of, if you like, just setting up your classroom, what you want to do, but then going further into that, thinking about the school year. I find just having like a simple long range plan is super helpful, and doesn't have to be crazy. You're not like going in and picking up specific expectations and deciding what you're going to assess and when. Just having kind of like, the way that mine is I have it broken down by month and then by subject. So then it'll be like science, for example, and maybe in grade 2 science, I'm starting with air and water. So then I'll write, okay, in September, we'll talk about like the characteristics of air and water. We'll do experiments on air and water's characteristics and all that. And then in October, we'll do the water cycle. So very like just simple themes. And I find that helps to keep me on track of things, and just kind of gives me an idea, and then I can go back and look at it. So then tip 2 is following up on that. I take my long range plans, and then each month I go in and I create what I call like monthly goals. So then that's when I would go, and at the real point in time when it's October, am I at that point where I'm doing the water cycle? Am I going to add that into my monthly goals? Or maybe we already did it because things took a lot less time. So, okay, well, I'll look at what I had for November, and maybe it was, I can't even think of anything off the top of my head.
Okay.
Something else with that unit. And okay, I'll put it in October, and then we'll do these things on top of that. Or maybe I'm going too slowly and I need to like wrap up what I was doing and then move into the next section. So I find that really helps, because yeah, you don't know, like you can have this great idea and it's not going to go the way that you want it to. You never finish where you want to be. And then finally, I take my like third tip is to take that information for your monthly goals and then work it into your weekly plans. And so that way you kind of start big and then slowly just kind of get smaller to where you're actually working. And make sure not to go through things too slowly, because then you will maybe run out of time and maybe not have enough time to finish a science unit. May or may not be talking from experience here, where I had like 3 weeks one year to do an entire science unit. So not last year, one time, I wasn't working last year, I was on maternity leave. But yeah, don't be like me. Don't do that.
Okay. Great. Thank you so much. Awesome. My next question is kind of on the opposite to that. So what is 3 things that you can share that teachers should stop doing in order to be successful when teaching French immersion?
So you don't need to buy everything. Don't think that you need to go into the teacher stores and buy everything that you see and all the posters and all that, and then go on TPT and buy everything there. You don't need everything. Like I wasted so much money in my first few years and bought things that I remember being like, oh, that was in my classroom. Obviously, I need this. And I think they wound up in the recycling. Like I never used them. It was a waste of money. Don't do that. Just buy what you think you need at the beginning. And you can always buy more if you need it. But if you're spending and spending, like spend that money on yourself.
Fair enough.
So number 2 kind of goes into that is like, don't fret too much about your classroom decor either. Because I know like on Pinterest and Instagram, you see these like amazing, beautiful classrooms that look like they spent thousands to set up. You don't need that. Like just the internet is the only thing that cares about that. And maybe you. All your students care about is how you treat them, how you make them feel, and if they're happy to come to school. And you don't need Instagram perfect for that.
Amazing.
And then tip number 3 is a big one, because I was definitely guilty of this in my first year. Don't stay at school for hours. Either
Okay.
before or after. Don't do it. Like I was at school till 6 p.m. every day my first year. Don't do it. Did I get anything done that I couldn't have gotten done in 20 minutes after school? No. Was it worth it? No. So like you don't need to be there. Prepare on your preps, use your preps wisely. Prepare on Fridays. That's I like to do my photocopying for the following week on Friday, and then go home and stay home. Don't think about work. Just leave it.
Okay. Very compartmentalize the
Yeah,
two, right?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. That's my
Fantastic. Great advice. Because I know I'm assuming here, but I'm sure a lot of first teachers are going to want to spend all of his time and effort in, planning after school and making sure everything's perfect
yeah.
before they leave. And I'm sure, like you said, that becomes a trap.
It does. It really does. And I can tell you, like, I usually leave maybe 20 minutes after the bell, 30 minutes after the bell. I don't need to do anything extra. If I were there for hours, I'd be doing nothing.
Fair enough. Awesome. Thank you. My next question is, what, I guess this ties into what we just spoke about. What
Yeah.
are your morning and after school routines or habits that you have found set you up for success, whether that's within the next day or the next week or whatnot?
So I mentioned before that I like to, I guess this isn't a before and after school one though, but I like to have
Yes.
my plans for the following school week done at the end of the week. So like do all my photocopying so I don't really have to worry about it all week. But outside of school, so my school starts at 8 a.m. I'm not a morning person. I literally wake up every morning hating my life because it's like, oh, it's 6:30, it's 7, like I have to get up. I don't want to. I want to be in bed. I have nothing in the morning. But after school, because my school started so early, pre-COVID, I got home before my husband because I was done at 2:30. So like now he works from home, so he's home when I get home, but I like to always have a little bit of quiet time. So whether it's nice out and I go outside and do this or sit on the couch and do it or lay on the couch, I guess I'd be lying down.
Fair enough.
I just like play with my phone and just kind of chill in the quiet by myself, just doing what I want. And I could be on Instagram, I could be on TikTok, I could be doing whatever I want just for like that little while. And then after that, I kind of just like it resets me. Because I find sometimes like the classrooms get really hectic and loud, and you don't realize how loud it was until your students leave, and you're like, and so I would get home and I'd be like, oh my God. And so just having that kind of like resets me and then gives me what I need to be a better wife and mother to my daughter.
Fantastic. Thank you. That is awesome. My next question for you is, what is one thing you know now where you are in your career that you wish you knew when you were starting off as a French immersion teacher?
Nobody's perfect. No class is perfect. No teacher's perfect. Nobody's perfect. And it's hard for everyone in the beginning. It might not look like it to you when you're struggling and you see all these veteran teachers around you that are like managing classrooms with their eyes closed, because like it's hard for everyone in the beginning. It's just that you learn and you kind of I can't even tell you, like if someone were to ask me, oh, teach me how to manage a class, like I don't really know if I could tell you what I do. It's just like you learn with experience. And everybody's been through it. Everybody gets it. Another thing that I would suggest is if you can, and you have to ask permission before you do this, but go out and watch other teachers teach. So, because everybody does things differently. And I've picked up tips along the way by doing that, especially in the beginning where I'd be like, oh, I like that. Like, I like how this person does her dismissal, or, ooh, I like how this person does this or whatever. And so I would take those ideas and do them in my own classroom. But I've also, on the flip side of things, looked at things and been like, ooh, like, I don't want to do it like that. Like,
Yeah.
both sides of that. And so it's really interesting to watch other teachers teach, and especially from the classroom management side of things, of seeing how other people manage behaviors.
Amazing. That's perfect. Yeah, it's a really good tip. I know will help for sure. So thank you. And my last question for you today is, who was or is your mentor or inspiration?
So I've actually had a lot. Going back to Teachers College, my first associate teacher, like she was amazing. We got along really well. I was, her first student teacher. She was my first associate teacher, and she was exactly what I needed during like a very difficult time in my life. And when I left that school, she was just like, here, take all this stuff, like, but through email, obviously I wasn't walking with a million
Yeah.
papers, but like take, like, here's some resources, like you'll use this, you'll use that. And I just felt prepared. I felt like I could, even though it was, this is the end of November and I had only been in Teachers College since September. I was like, I could go and teach my own class tomorrow. I'm ready. Like, that's how I felt leaving that room.
Yeah.
And I always thought I was going to teach junior because she was a junior teacher and I loved that placement. Spoiler alert, I've never taught junior. When I got thrown into my first class I was talking about earlier, it was primary. And I was like, oh my God, I hate primary. What am I going to do? And now I love primary. I would never go to junior.
Yeah.
It's funny how things happen.
It is.
But so since then, because obviously she couldn't help me much with that, I've met countless teachers who've been super helpful. They may, whether they're a teaching partner, a co-teacher, anything, they were very instrumental in my success. And I really think that teachers are great people and happy to help. And then most recently, I would say that my current teaching partner, Barb, is my mentor. She teaches English and math to my French immersion class. And we work really well together. And she's just really amazing with parents, which is something I struggle with, is like kind of having to be firm, but not too firm. But she's great at that. She knows how to read them and will treat different parents differently based on what she thinks that they'll respond well to. And like, I've learned so much about dealing with parents from her. And I truly believe everyone needs a Barb in their life.
Amazing. That's fair. I'm sure we would all love one.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I had a similar experience as you did with your like we called them mentor teachers.
Okay.
Associate teachers. She was fantastic. She was in a primary classroom, and when I walked out of there in December of last year, I said, all right, I've got everything I need. I can just start teaching right now. It was the grade I wanted that she had. And I said, okay, this is it. We're good. And everything, actually physically, I made a teacher library. I've got binders for every subject and that she gave me things for. And so similar to you, I was like, all right, this is it. This is what I want to do.
I'm good.
Yeah. And then who knows? I don't know if I'll actually end up doing that, but we'll see.
You never know. Cause 100%. I wanted to teach grade 5, grade 6. I would never teach grade 5, grade 6 now. I mean, I can't say never, but like at this point in my life, grade 2. That's what I want, what I like.
Yeah. I'm grade 2, grade 3. That is my sweet spot, I like to call it. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining me and for answering my numerous questions I had for you. I know that new French immersion teachers, whether it's first, second, third year, or even fifth year teachers who just want extra tips, they're really, really going to appreciate all the valuable information that you just shared. So thank you very much.
No problem. And, I'm always happy to help. I'm that teacher who loves to teach and help. So if anybody, if you ever have questions or anything, like reach out to me. I'm on Instagram at Madame Carolyn, MME, and then Carolyn. Send me a message. I will spam you. I will send you a message this long about like your question.
Amazing. Thank you.